First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while unto his truth, and also to those elect that are scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great and powerful lesson to the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type D lesson is Trump threats to deploy troops to Chicago. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope to sweep you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So I have one quick news article here by NBC News. And it reads that Trump threats to deploy troops to Chicago said draws criticism from city and state officials. It says here, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has insisted there is no emergency that warrants Trump sending troops into the Windy City. So we're seeing that now that this thing is right now is constantly expanding. We're seeing the beginning stages of what Jacob's trouble, even though that we constantly, every day seeing this constantly, this military buildup all across America. So this man right now is getting ready to try to go into Chicago. He already said that Chicago will be next. So you're seeing what they're doing there in Washington, D.C. The test run is Washington, D.C. So right now, we know right now that this man is getting ready to roll out this plan, Project 25, Operation Lockstep, the King Alfred plan. Look up all those things and they tell you what they're trying to bring forth. But this governor here, he's speaking out about it. Let's get a little bit more on this. So we're going to see right now that the Lord is constantly getting ready to set Egyptian against Egyptian, America against America. So we coming, the stage is constantly setting. We're seeing right now we coming into this lawless time. So now, right here, it says, it's an Illinois political leader and Chicago municipal official are raising alarms over President Donald Trump threats to deploy National Guard troops to cities, insisting that sending in soldiers would be baseless and a clear case of federal overreach. It says, let's see what it says here. It said, flanked by political, business, and religious leaders, said Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on Monday blasted President suggestions that federal soldiers were needed in the city and emphasized, said what he said was a significant reduction in homicides, said vehicle thefts and other crimes in recent years. So he's saying that it's no need for any type of military presence or any type of soldiers to come into Chicago. He's also saying that he is going to fight it in a way that he sees fit. And one thing about it, he's saying that if that DJ Donald Trump, if he keep pushing, he will get himself into trouble. We'll put it like that. So right now we're seeing that now the Lord is constantly setting the stage, for this total out of control. We put it like that. So things are getting ready to get out of control, but it's all by design and manufactured from who? Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Everyone is playing their part in the movie. So right now we're seeing that the Lord is setting the stage. The Lord is setting the ambush. Also the Lord is setting up the stage for what? Invasion. And also, don't ever forget about those sleeper cells already here in America. They're setting up these military, from Washington, D.C., talking about Chicago, saying Chicago will be next. So right now they're trying to come into Chicago. So we're going to see how this play out. But we already know at some point that all hell is going to break loose, even though we'll sound like a broken record. But, man, these are the times that we're living in. We got to measure the time diligently, because the men of the Lord constantly been warning you about this. And also he had put out another executive order about taking away the cashless bail, whereby, won't be no more, where you can bail out, bond out, cashless bond. He's doing away with that. I had a video on that. I don't know if I have it on this one, but it's saying that he's doing away with that too. So we already know who that is going to target. You got to have, I think it said cashless bond or whatever. I got to look at it. I think I had a video. I might show that video too also. But anyway, we know that he's constantly signing the executive orders, constantly framing mischief with a law. We constantly seeing these things each and every day. So we seeing that civil war is upon us. We seeing that World War III is upon us. Also, we knowing that MOTB is upon us. Jacob's trouble, is at the door. We constantly seeing these things are lining up just like clockwork. And a lot of people still are what? Are relaxing in their leads or what? Still think that they are a good case. So once again, it said Trump threats to deploy troops to Chicago draws criticism from city and state officials. So they're bucking up, so we seeing right now that, a lot of these Edomites, they are very, very disturbed of what's going on, because they seeing right now that what DJ Donald Trump is going to lead America straight off a cliff. This place is finished. They're done with America. So we already knowing that right now that, at any given time, that's why we got to be prayed up. We know that the devil is coming down like a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. So that's why we always got to be locked in. We got to be prayed up. We got to constantly keep the faith. We constantly got to meditate day and night in this great wisdom. And ask the Lord, to have mercy upon us. Ask the Lord to protect us in these times of trouble, because there are going to get very bad, a time of trouble that we've never seen before. So now let's go here before we start today's video. Let's go here and get a quick precept. Let's go here to 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 17 said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? And woe goes into destruction. And out about it, who will deliver you in those days? If the Lord is not on your side, you will not be delivered. And one thing about the Lord is only coming back for that 1/3 remnant, the house of David, the true believers of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, the elect. So right now, that's what we constantly asking the Lord, to deliver us in times of trouble. Keep us in that secret place. The Lord shall be our shield and our buckler during these times. So right now, we're right here at verse 18. It said, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, and the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? So right now we're at the beginning of sorrow. The birth pain is constantly contracting back and forth and constantly increasing. So we know right now that, the things are getting ready to happen. The beginning of famine, the beginning of great death. We're seeing it's lining up just like clockwork. It's constantly, just targeting people left and right. Just locking people, just grabbing people, going in people's homes, going to people's jobs, just like the Bible said. Still think that this is a game? You still think that this is a game, but all the games about to be going. It's all it says right here, the beginning of war. So we already know what's happening between Ukraine, between Poland, also even speculation that Germany is getting ready to get involved in this, so a lot of things is constantly lining up. Ezekiel chapter 38 war, we seeing it, man. The Lord is moving the chess pieces around, and I was about to say the power should stand in fear. They said the beginning of evil. So we seeing the beginning of evil, redeem the time wise. Said, what shall I do when these evils shall come? So these evils are right upon us, this ill time. Jacob trouble, the hour of temptation, the hour of testing. That's what we're constantly warning you about, left and right. And one thing about it, it said the just shall live by faith and not by sight. So one thing about it, you got to be, you got to have faith like you have never had before, because everyone on the planet is getting ready to be tried. So we're at the beginning of sorrow. We're in the birth pain, and these plagues are not going to slack down for a moment. We're seeing them coming up on every side. Evils are constantly growing left and right. It's time to seek the Lord. Verse 10, it's at verse 19, so like 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 19 said, behold, famine, plagues, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So that's exactly what we're seeing, famine, plagues, goes into pestilence, it's a disease, outbreaks, tribulation, we're seeing that tribulation, a time great trouble is coming upon us, tribulation like we've never seen before, great death, sorrows, mourning, anguish, sent as scourges for a minute. It's time to amend your way. Gird up your loin. Get your mind right. Let go of the mortal thoughts. Get your house in order. Verse 20, it said, but for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourge. A lot of people are not mindful of the scourge of what's happening right before their eye. They still are not believing. Still think they have a sense of knowing it. But this is the calm before the storm. Things are getting ready to get very, very critical. Things are get very perilous right before your eyes. And also we seeing that these things are picking up left and right every day. Something is going down. Could this be the possible dark winter? Verse 21 said, behold, victuals should be good and cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. So even then, even though you're eating good, you still have a job right now. Still have some sort of stability, right now. You still thinking that everything will be all right. But even then, evil shall grow upon the earth. The sword, the famine, and great confusion. That sword also goes into judgment. So that's where we at right now. That's what we're constantly warning you about, left and right. But a lot of our people are not going to get it. They got to see it to believe it. So if you see it to believe it, you still are unbeliever, and you constantly you will be totally destroyed. That's what we constantly warning. A lot of our people still thinking that they are a good case. I'm good. I have plenty. I have a doomsday bunker. I have plenty of money. I have a reputation. I'm going to move to this island. I'm going to move. You cannot escape the hands of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. The Lord is not on your side. If you're not a part of the election, the house of David, the true believer, you're going to be totally destroyed. Verse 22, so for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger, the sword shall the sword destroy. So that's exactly where we at. We come upon a great economic collapse. Also, we seeing all these different stores around America constantly closing down, and also, you say they got a shortage on farmer workers, to pick the crops. So we already know that what they're creating, they're creating chaos. They're creating a situation that they can put you in a chokehold. So that's where we at now. Famine, food shortage, what I'm saying, rolling blackout, no water, no power grid. So this is what this is going to lead to. It's going to be, sedition, rioting. People are going to be fighting against one another. That's exactly what they're setting the stage for. That's why this governor don't want DJ Donald Trump to come into his city, because he knowing that this is going to be total anarchy. When you go to that movie, The Purge, go to Civil War, Leave the World Behind, and many other movies is showing you what is going to happen. So we already knowing that this place is getting ready to be a war zone. This place is getting ready to be a third world country. We constantly warning you left and right, whether you will hear or whether you will forbear. So now, I start today's video, and after the video, we will start the lesson, and I hope that you will get edified.
The state of Illinois is ready to stand against this military deployment with every peaceful tool we have. We will see the Trump administration in court. We will use every lever at our disposal to protect the people of Illinois and their rights. Finally, to the Trump administration officials who are complicit in this scheme, to the public servants who have forsaken their oath to the Constitution, to serve the petty whims of an arrogant little man. To any federal official who would come to Chicago and try to incite my people into violence as a pretext for something darker and more dangerous, we are watching, and we are taking names. This country has survived darker periods than the one that we're going through right now, and eventually the pendulum will swing back, maybe even next year. Donald Trump has already shown himself to have little regard for the many acolytes that he has encouraged to commit crimes on his behalf. You can delay justice for a time, but history shows you cannot prevent it from finding you eventually. If you hurt my people, nothing will stop me, not time or political circumstance, from making sure that you face justice under our constitutional rule of law.
National Guard troops will be armed while patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. A DoD official telling NBC News they're officially authorized for self-protection. It's a scene Chicago is hoping to avoid. Their mayor, Brandon Johnson, tonight pushing back on President Trump's threat to send the National Guard to more American cities.
We don't need cities across America occupied by our military. They don't have policing powers. They don't have arresting powers.
The president also suggesting on social media this morning, I will send in the troops to Baltimore after targeting New York and Chicago in the Oval Office Friday.
We'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did D.C. Chicago is very dangerous.
According to Chicago police statistics, murders, robberies, and shootings are all down more than 30% this year. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker accusing Trump of abusing his power and saying in a statement that there's no emergency that warrants deploying the National Guard.
To the American people watching, this is what calling out a failed system looks like. Again, I was walking peacefully down this block, and I was accosted by 20, no less than 20 MPD, FBI, ATF agents and officers. I am not crazy. I am totally sane. I have complied with all of these officers' requests, and 30 minutes after being detained, I remain detained and not freely able to go. I do not know what charges. I do not know why I'm being detained. I was given no information. No officers are offering me any type of credence, no type of respite, nothing. Simply stand here, you nigger, and be handcuffed while we wait to find magazines that do not exist, or we will find one for you. I assume that is the case. As an officer of the DC Bar, that these officers are violating my civil rights under federal law, and I will be pressing charges on everyone who has physically touched me tonight, who has applied pressure to me in ways that I will not forget anytime soon. This is tragic. In a country where black men are being...
Two boys therein shall be cut off and die. One thing about it, you don't have any rights here, right here in Babylon the Great. We're still in the land of our captivity. So right there, I showed that last video to show you that they're targeting people of color, starting with the Negroes. We constantly warn you left and right. The devils get ready to come down with great wrath. So exactly what they're going to do. They don't need any type of reason. They just come in and grab you up. We're going to get him today. We're going to get her today. We're going to get those children today. So we're here. We constantly warning you left and right. So all the things that the prophet's been saying, starting with the apostles, the bishop, the elders, and the prophets on down, been telling you about it left and right. But one thing about it, we know that the famine of the world is fast approaching. And one thing about it, hey, all these games about to be over. We're seeing right now things are coming more and more full circle. The end is being manifest right before your eyes. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 2 said, and I will set Egyptian against Egyptian, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So exactly what they're setting the stage for that. That's why this governor is fighting against DJ Donald Trump for not to let those troops in there, because he already know that it's going to be a war zone. And also, same thing that happened in Washington, D.C. The crime rate was low. They didn't have no need for these troops, but they setting up the stage for this new system that they're putting into play. To put you on total lockdown, martial law. These things are coming into play. These guillotines, these FEMA camps, these facilities. We constantly warning you left and right. And that MOTB, one city at a time. They're constantly trying to seek that main goal. And also, you get around to it, it's a documentary. Yeah, the man I think he tried to turn it into a movie. It's called Gray State, and it's telling you pretty much, giving you the whole drop. I think the man got him and his family was unalive. I can't think his name, David Crawley or something like that matter, but he was unalive, for exposing a lot of different things. So this is where we at, and this is what we're constantly warning you about. This devil's getting ready to make his move. He's seeing that his days are determined. Let's read this again in the NLT. It said, Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 2, it said, I will make the Egyptian fight against Egyptian, brother against brother, neighbor against neighbors, city against city, province against province. So that's exactly what we're seeing left and right. They're setting that stage for civil war, civil unrest, race war, sedition, protesting, rioting, uproars of the people. All these things are getting ready to come into play. A lawless time. That's what we call constantly warning. Jacob's trouble. It's the beginning stages, the beginning of sorrow. We're seeing that we're here, man. These things are here. Let's drop down to verse 4. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4 says, and the Egyptian will I give over unto the hands of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord of hosts. So right now we're seeing that cruel Lord, which in fact is DJ Donald Trump, constantly trying to pull this thing off. And one thing about we're seeing right now, he's trying to fill his belly, his agenda, his plan. We're seeing it right before our eyes. A lot of, like the guy was detained. He said he has rights. You don't have any rights. You had rights since you got off the damn boat. But one thing about it is you're in for a rude awakening. So you wicked two-thirds, you wicked, you wicked heathens. You get ready to find out. So the Lord's get ready to bring the hammer down. We're seeing wars constantly brewing. We're seeing that right here in our own backyard, things that get ready to pop up. So we're seeing that we are here, that cruel Lord, that fierce king, DJ Donald Trump, and his little mini-mens, I put it like that. They tried to, we're going to go into Chicago, we're going to make it quick and simple. But yeah, this man is walking in great pride. So now, let's go to our last and final script. It wasn't meant to be a long lesson tonight, Salakia. Let's go here to 1 Peter chapter 5. We close out here. 1 Peter chapter 5, because this is what this devil's doing. He's getting ready to be like a roaring lion. Let's see at 1 Peter chapter 5. Let's see where I'm at here. At verse 8, Salakia. And it reads, said, be sober, be vigilant. Said, because your adversary, the enemy, said, the devil, the so-called white man, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So right now, that's what he's doing. He's seeking who he may devour. He's setting up his military. He's going to set up his technology. These things are coming left and right. We constantly warn you. These things are coming upon us. We already know that we're coming, things are getting ready to change. We're coming into the fall of the year. Things are getting ready to get cooler. Could this be the possible dark winter? So let's read in NLT. It says, stay alert, watch out for your great enemy, the devil, who prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. So you see it right there, he's looking for someone to devour. He's going in all these cities, trying to get into Chicago. But I already know he's going to run into a molehill. Also, when he tried to go into New York and Atlanta, they already know that heavily populated of people of color. So we already know, when you go to Genesis chapter 49, who shall rouse him up? So we know that Jake is going to get it popping so very soon. So we already know right now that this man is not going to stop. That's why the Lord said in Matthew chapter 24, around, I think, 21 and 22, that for the elect's sake, those days shall be short. So let's read this once again. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8 said, be sober, be vigilant, or watchful, because your adversary, the enemy, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking who he may devour. So exactly what he's trying to do is put this NWO into place and make you a petrol slave. Put you in this solitary, to feed you things being idle. A lot of these things are coming into play. That grain of rice, these things we constantly warning you about left and right. We're seeing that a lot of these jobs are closing down. We're seeing that they're coming with this new system very quickly. Just wave your hand. A lot of people are going to get enticed. A lot of people are going to line up and take this. And one thing about the Lord said, do not take it. So we are so very close for these things to be just like a domino effect. We're living in some very exciting time. Our salvation is at the door. In the middle of the Lord, we're constantly warning you left and right, whether you will hear or whether you will forbear. The Lord is coming. We're seeing that now, that these things, these prophecies are speaking loud and clear. So it's high time to prophesy. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, the day is far spent. We're here. Our salvation is at the door. So the title of the day lesson Once again, there's Trump threats to deploy troops to Chicago. So I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.